This is Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. Thanks for joining us again. Our guest is Paul Krekorian. Paul is a member of the Los Angeles City Council. Sir, we thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you, Brad.
The DWP, for some reason, has become very controversial. As you know, back in March, the voters overwhelmingly passed an initiative to create a ratepayer advocate. We're a few months out from that. What's the update since that initiative passed?
Well, I think that vote of the people was a very strong statement that the status quo needs to change at the DWP. And I think that we see that the status quo is beginning to change.
Is it?
We have a new general manager in place. There seems to be more of a commitment to involvement of the public and transparency. But again, the proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see how that develops. In the meantime, the council is moving forward with implementation of the ratepayer advocate that the voters called for in the last election. And my work in the Energy and the Environment Committee right now is surrounding how do we do that? How do we create a ratepayer advocate office that is going to be very robust and very capable to pursue the interests of the ratepayers of Los Angeles?
Let me ask you about that, though, because the budget, proposed budget's about $300,000. Pretty low. I mean, pretty low.
To take a step back, where we are now is in selecting a citizens commission who will be tasked with the responsibility of identifying the executive director of what we're calling the Office of Public Accountability. That is the ratepayer advocate.
Right.
And that will have to be staffed. So there's an initial budget that will be used for that process of finding the person, hiring them, setting up the office. Now going forward, there is no decision made about what the appropriate level of funding is to allow that office to do its job effectively. I'm going to fight to make sure that it has every resource available to be able to be effective in analyzing rate impacts.
Because if you look at other ratepayer advocacy agencies throughout the country, I mean, even Delaware has 4 employees, California has 145, New Jersey has 32. I mean, I'm not hearing staff even the size of 10 coming out of this ratepayer advocate. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, none of those decisions have been made. So,
I hear you.
I mean, at all. In fact, we're still at the very preliminary stage of selecting the Citizens Commission. But one of the things that I intend to do personally is look at those best practices that we have in other states, use the model that we have statewide in the Division of Ratepayer Advocate with the PUC, and see how we can draw upon those examples to make sure that our office here, brand new thing, is as effective as it can be. And it's important that we're taking this step.
Sure. That being said, funding is tight, as you know. You recently were part of 15 council members who voted unanimously to pass a budget, but there were $336 million of cuts. So given that we are in tough fiscal times, where does the money come from to create an office that admittedly the voters want, passed with 78%, but where do you find that money?
Well, keep in mind that the DWP is a proprietary department. It's separately funded than the general fund budget that you've described.
So is that money to create the ratepayer advocate office coming out of the DWP budget?
It will.
Oh, so there's separate money.
That's right.
That's good
exactly
to hear.
Right. So it won't have an impact on our general fund, which has all the cuts that you've described.
But speaking of the DWP, I mean, they're supposed to be a sister to the city of Los Angeles. We know last year they weren't acting very fraternally or sorority-like, whatever you want to say, and giving money they were supposed to. How is it looking this year in terms of the money transfer?
Well, thank you. I wouldn't use the sister metaphor. We own the DWP.
Well, okay.
And the DWP needs to understand that the people of Los Angeles are its owners, its stakeholders. They serve us. And you're absolutely right that last year with the rate impacts, we had a terrible time. I hope that the ratepayer advocate will help us to get past those sorts of practices in the future.
His name is Paul Krekorian. I'm Brad Pomerance. We thank you so much for joining us. Now we're going to send you back to HLN.